Welcome to #Share a Story. I'm Bethan James. This is Socks. And today I'm going to read Millie's Socks by Chris Passy, illustrated by Siobhan King. And this is with the kind permission from Olympia Publishers. In a normal town during normal times, a girl named Millie lives with her mum in a normal house. But that is the only normal thing about Millie. You see, Millie sees the world differently to her friends. Her brain is extraordinary and far from normal, and Millie quite likes it that way. Who wants to be normal anyway? She would say to her mum. Quite right, would always be the reply from Millie. Most of the time, Millie's brain can feel like there's always rain falling inside. The rain can be heavy and make it quite difficult to see people's faces and properly understand what they are feeling. Sometimes this rain can be so heavy that it mixes with the butterflies in her tummy and causes a huge storm that rushes through her body and makes her confused and upset. Sometimes it's really hard being Millie, but her friends at school always try to make her feel better. Mondays at school were usually quite boring for Millie, especially if it was raining hard inside her brain. Millie was miserable in maths. She was sad through science. She failed at football and cried in choir. Millie got so upset that Miss Lorna had to suggest she took some time to calm down in the chill-out den where Millie could breathe, relax, and try and quieten the rain in her brain. Just like you, Millie loves lots of different things in her life. She loves reading fantasy books. She loves spicy food. And she loves watching football with her mum. But more than anything in the world, Millie loves socks. Stripy, spotty, odd, long, short, holy, funny. Each morning before school, Millie likes to look through every pair of socks to decide which one she will wear that day. She thinks about how they might feel, how they might look, and how they make her feel. There's some fantasy books, and there's her watching football with her mum. And of course, her socks. One gloomy Monday morning, a very gloomy Millie was beginning her sock choosing ritual, as she did every morning. It was raining outside, but it was also raining inside Millie's brain. She thought that by picking the right pair of socks might make her feel better. She placed them all on the floor and began to choose. Spotty? No, not today. Too scratchy. Stripy? No, not these ones either. She didn't like the colour today. Then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw a pair of socks she had never seen before. They were long, black and red football socks. Millie reached out and let her fingertips touch the woolly sock. Millie gasped. It was the softest sock she had ever felt. She put them on and stood up. Millie felt amazing. The rain inside her head stopped and she felt calm and super. Millie ran downstairs in her new socks. Morning, Mum, she screamed. Her mum jumped up off the sofa, her jam on toast flying everywhere. Goodness, Millie, you're excited this morning. Her mum smiled and gave Millie a massive hug. Millie proudly pointed to her feet. New socks, new me. Bye! Millie's voice faded into the distance as she ran out of the door, up the hill to school, happier than she'd ever been in a long time. As we know, Mondays were usually quite boring for Millie, but today was different. Millie mastered her maths work. She smashed her science lesson, powered through PE, and even conquered choir. For the first time in a very long time, the rain in her brain and the butterflies in her tummy were quiet. It's definitely the socks, Millie told her mum over her favourite spicy curry that night. I'm sure it is, Mills, her mum laughed. I even did some singing today, Millie continued as she got up from the table and swished around the kitchen, jumped over a chair and ran upstairs. When she got to her room, Millie took off her socks and threw them into the corner where all of the washing goes. Millie had a shower, read some of her favourite fantasy book, and finally got into bed. Millie lay there in the moonlight, her brain calm and her eyes closing, wondering what amazing adventures she and her socks might have tomorrow. The next morning, the sun woke Millie up. She sat up and immediately ran to her sock drawer, emptying the contents and preparing herself for the sock choosing ritual. Stripy, spotty, odd, long, short, wholly funny. Millie was struggling to choose. I could wear the black and red socks again, Millie said out loud. No one replied, so she ran over to the washing pile, but it wasn't there. The socks were gone. Millie frantically searched her room, socks flying everywhere, but she couldn't find her long black and red football socks. Mum! Where are my socks? Millie screamed as she ran down the stairs. I put them in the wash, Millie. You can't wear socks 2 days in a row. Why? Millie wept, staring at the washing machine and a spinning blur of black and red inside. But no one will play football with Millie with stinky feet. Her mum was laughing at the thought of Millie's smelly feet because of dirty socks. Some adults actually think like this. How boring. Millie started to get really upset, and the rain in her head started gently falling, and she felt some of it begin to fill her eyes. You've ruined everything! Millie wept as she grabbed her school bag, shoved on her shoes and ran out of the house, into the rain and up the hill towards school. She had left the house so quickly that she had forgotten to wear socks at all. Millie's Tuesday did not start well. She had a meltdown in maths and soon found herself in the chill-out den, trying to calm the storm in her head and quieten the butterflies in her tummy. Millie's teacher, Miss Lorna, gently knocked on the den door. She popped her head into the room. You've had such a good few days, Millie. What on earth is wrong? Miss Lorna asked, sitting next to her on the bed in the den. Millie struggled to find the words at first. The rain made it hard to hear her own thoughts. She took a deep breath and tried to concentrate. I found some socks that made me a superhero, and my mum washed them, and now I'm just plain old Millie again. She began to cry heavily. Wow, superhero socks, eh? Were those the black and red football ones? Millie nodded slowly. But today you have no socks on. Millie nodded again. Oh my, your feet are gonna really smell. Millie let out a little smile. I don't mind, she said innocently. Tell you what, Miss Lorna began. Make sure you come to football club at lunch, and I'll try to sort something out for you. Millie sighed. I can't play football, not without my socks. Millie, you don't need those socks to be a superhero or a footballer. You're fantastic all on your own. Miss Lorna smiled at Millie, who could just about make out the twinkle in her eyes as the sound of the rain in her head began to get quieter. Miss Lorna left Millie in the den to gather her thoughts and to wonder what awaited her at football club. When the lunch bell rang, Millie's heart began to race. She walked towards the football pitch where she could see all of her classmates gathered around Miss Lorna. The rain in her head began to fall again, and Millie slowed down. I can't do this, she said out loud. The rain fell even harder inside, and the football pitch started to become fuzzy and fade away. Then Millie remembered what Miss Lorna had said. Millie, you don't need those socks to be a superhero or a footballer. You're fantastic, all on your own. No, I can do this. The rain in her brain started to slow down, and Millie began to see the football pitch again. Her friends and Miss Lorna were all standing in front of her, and Maddie could clearly see them all smiling. Millie, Miss Lorna stepped forward. Your friends would like to help you feel like a superhero again. And at that, her friends each held out a brand new, clean pair of black and red football socks. One for every day of the month, Millie cried. Thank you so much. Millie kicked her shoes off and took a pair of socks. She remembered how soft they felt in her hands and quickly put them on over her feet, pulling them right up to just below her knees. Miss Lorna rolled the football to Millie's feet, and Millie, a superhero once more, kicked the first kick of the match and had an amazing day. That night, Millie was swishing around the kitchen again. Her mum tapped her on the shoulder. Sorry for washing your socks, Mills. I didn't realise how important they were to you. It's okay, Mum. Millie took her socks off and put them in the washing machine. Her mum's face was a picture. So I can wash these, can I? Yep, said Millie, swishing up the stairs. And you won't be upset? No, Mum. Millie paused on the landing. I'm a superhero with or without my socks. Okay, lovely. Her mum laughing, a little bit confused. Love you, Mills. Love you, Mum. Bye. Millie jumped into her room, closed the door and dove into bed. Before she fell asleep, Millie looked over to the sock drawer, now bursting with black and red football socks. Well, she said aloud, sock choosing ritual will be much faster from now on. The end. And there's a lovely picture of her sock drawer. Thank you for joining us for #Share a Story from Roundabout Dramatherapy. We understand times are tough, but if you could make a small donation, we'd be very grateful. Your gift will change the lives of the children and adults Roundabout supports. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. Thank you from me and socks.